Meats. Yeah, I got some beef on this stuff. Organic, ideally speaking, grass-fed. Okay, it's about the fatty acid ratios. If you have more omega-3s, less omega-6s, that's what you want, and that's what you're gonna get with grass-fed meats like these. Okay, there's a lot of local butchers around here too that you can go to. Sweetgrass Dairy one is up in like Delaware, Galena area, and they have drop locations here, so you can actually find locally raised meat as well. People oftentimes think they're healthier, and this is just a marketing thing. That like they're gonna get, oh well, this is vegan, it's way better for me, it's not meat. It's not true. Research on red meat that's grass-fed, that's organic, that doesn't have inflammatory fats. This is truly healthy for you. All the research that was done on red meats causing cancer is done on toxic meat that's fed a high diet of grain, that's super inflammatory, not good for you. This is filled with bad oil. It's filled with fillers, weird ingredients. Like when you look on the back of it, my whole thought is if you're vegetarian or if you're vegan, don't eat things that are made to look like meat, because just eat the vegetables. Like, don't let someone have to concoct something, because now when they're doing this, they're thinking about texture, they're thinking about flavor, they're thinking about shelf life, all these things. So it's gonna end up having bad ingredients in it. In fact, like one of the worst foods that you can buy is like the vegetarian cheese, like the prepackaged vegetarian cheese slices. If you read the ingredients on it,
I've never bought vegetarian cheese.
It's so
What
bad.
was that?
So stick with the good stuff.
So with red meat and
Yes, you bought.
you always hear about heart disease, Dr. Thomas.
Yeah.
Is that the
It
same
was
thing as
researched
like
on.
cancer?
It was
Okay.
researched on just conventionally raised red meat. So yeah, if you're eating a grain-fed 1 pound ribeye every night that has tons of toxic fat in it, of course that's going to cause inflammation and problems.
Yeah.
But if you're eating healthy organ meats or grass-fed meats, you know what I mean? Like you're going to be way better off overall.
Is there a specific fat percentage with like beef and turkey
Yeah.
and stuff that we should be
As
going
high
for?
as humanly possible.
Highest fat possible.
Why? Why?
It keeps you
You
full
can
longer.
stare.
It has healthy fat. So yeah,
Red meat with lots of
so if
fat.
I'm getting grass-fed beef, there is no way I'm getting a lean cut because I'm throwing away money. You know what I mean? And that's like this weird thing that when I was raised, and it's funny that the lower fat content's actually more expensive.
Right.
Yeah.
If you're getting conventional, let's say you're in desert island, no access, I'm gonna get the leanest possible. But if I'm getting grass-fed, if I'm getting organic, I'm going highest fat. Give me the 75-25. Give me the fat. You know what I mean? Because you're burning fat for fuel if you're not eating sugar, and so therefore I want the high healthy fat. Absolutely, I like this guy.
Red meat with high fat. Yay!
I can eat all the steaks in one.
See you there.
Tough. So one of the big problems with lunch meat is nitrates. They also can have like a celery product that's like a naturally occurring nitrate. There's research that shows that those aren't very good. A lot of them have added sugar as well. If you're gonna do anything like this, you want to get the cleanest, most organic, uncured type that you can get. So raw grass-fed cheeses are awesome. They do have raw cheese. Okay, so this is raw. So raw cheese, much higher certifications for it. Anytime that you have raw cheese, it's typically going to be from a grass-fed source as well. The cows have to be fed clean produce or clean food, because if they're fed bad food, they're too inflamed and won't pass regulations. So here's like really good ones, okay? So grass milk, 100% grass-fed, raw. Those are the ones you want to look for, okay? So it's all about omega-3 fatty acid ratios. When cows eat their natural diet, which is grazing on grass, not eating grain, they have a really good omega-3 to omega-6 ratio, which is like 2 to 1. If they're fed a diet predominantly made of grain, it's going to be 20 to 1, 30 to 1, 40 to 1, 50 to 1, omega-6 to omega-3. So what you thought was healthy for you is going to be really bad for you. Okay?
Can we eat raw cheese and stuff on the advanced plan?
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely. Good amount of fat, clean protein, low carbohydrates, great overall. I wouldn't overdo the dairy. A lot of people can do like dirty keto, and they just do all dairy all day and bacon. It's not the best way.
Okay, yeah.
You're going to be nutrient deficient. You're going to have some problems with it.
Right.
Let's eat cheese and bacon all day.
Is there a
Difference
He might
between
like
goat
that.
milk
in goat milk than in cow milk? They're more adapted for humans. So if you can find goat, it's better. I don't love goat, so I do some goat, some cow. But for example, like when our kids were having trouble and we supplemented breast milk, we supplemented with goat as opposed to cow, because the goat's 150, 120 pounds. Cows are 2,000 pounds. It's a different makeup. That makes sense. So seafood is best in its raw state. So I'm always going to look for wild caught. Wild caught. So shrimp, fish. I prefer smaller ocean fish. So snapper, mahi-mahi. Those are going to typically have a lower toxic burden. Wild caught cod. The bigger fish like tuna, shark, they have more mercury per pound than smaller fish. Okay, so I still eat some of that, but I reduce it. I typically reserve it for like eating sushi. I don't buy and eat farm-raised fish. The fatty acid ratios are bad. I know that there are questions and arguments on their like sustainability, but for me, for my family, like I'm not gonna eat like a toxic fish. I'd rather eat no fish than eat a farm-raised fish, to be honest.
Is tilapia typically okay?
No. Tilapia is a bottom feeder shad fish. Not great. Almost always too farm-raised.
Okay, but you said cod is
Love,
okay?
I used to love it. The light fluid texture is awesome.
Yeah,
Spread
I
it.
love tilapia.
Very versatile, but it's not a very good fish overall.
Okay, but you said cod is okay?
Cod's okay. Yep. Like this wild caught cod. Cool. Same thing with chicken. Chicken should be organic. Chicken should be, ideally speaking, pastured. There's a big misnomer with chicken. So you'll see this. You'll see lesser healthy chickens. Like this is free range, which is awesome. You'll see less healthy chickens. It will say vegetarian diet. What is a chicken's diet supposed to be? Grubs and worms and seeds and like they don't actually eat a true vegetarian diet. They're omnivores, right? So a vegetarian diet doesn't really make sense. So then why do people buy it? Because it sounds
Sounds good. Sounds good.
oh my gosh, it ate vegetables. You know what I mean? But it's really not its natural diet. So free range organic, that's what you want to see. That'd be the best. Again, natural doesn't mean anything. Vegetarian diet doesn't really mean a lot, but they put those all over it. No antibiotics, vegetarian fed diet, and that's like the cheaper one. And people go, oh, well, that's better. It's not. It's like, it's the bottom of the barrel. Those things just sound really good and lower our defenses. Okay?
Something they put gluten-free on chicken.
Say what?
So it's like when they put gluten-free on chicken.
Yeah, gluten-free on chicken. Or gluten-free gummy bears.
Yeah.
So bad. So bad ranch, good ranch. So this would be the bad ranch, okay?
Okay.
First ingredient is canola oil,
Mm-hmm.
okay? And then you have non-fat sour cream. So they took the fat out. Cornstarch. Those are your first three ingredients, okay? Then tapioca starch. Tapioca is not necessarily bad at all. But then you have carrageenan, which is wax, as the fifth ingredient. Probably not something that you'd want to eat for nutritional value. You know what I mean? So, love these. Tessemae's. It's organic. You go in the back, and it's high oleic sunflower oil, water, lemon juice, mustard, salt, spices, cage-free egg yolks.
So is this somewhere where sunflower oil is okay?
I would do it in this.
Okay.
Yes. This is your best option. Typically, these for dressings overall. At Whole Foods, you can find even better ones, but dressings are one of the absolute worst offenders when it comes to unhealthy
Find
ingredients.
it between a shirt and the dirty basket.
Yes, absolutely. Okay. This is an average one, but they get worse than this. Like at most grocery stores, they're terrible.
Yeah.
And it's sad, and no one really thinks to like look at it. But these are the worst culprits for like unhealthy fats, for sure. Cool. These are common places where you'll see the with issue. So it'll say made with olive oil, and it has to be, it's like 1 or 5 or 10%. It's like a small amount. So you'll commonly see canola oil as the first ingredient, and then the very bottom you'll see olive oil, like the last ingredient. Like they put like
The tiniest little bit.
little drop of
Just
it.
so they can put it
You
on
know
the
what I mean?
label.
So they can stick it on the label. Yeah.
Yeah, you want to eat things that are like those. Like if you go to Costco, you can get you can get like a 20-gallon vat of canola oil for like $35.
Yes.
But this much olive oil is $10. Which one do you think is better for you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? With this, that it was made with healthy oil, I'd probably assume that. And I could be wrong. I'd read it, but let's see if I'm wrong. Organic sunflower oil, kefir, vitamin A, fermented vegetables, vinegar. Really good overall. So now food marketing companies kind of play with you with that, but like organic, those, when you get to the bottom and you start seeing giant things, nothing on it about organic or anything like that, like this is going to be bad dressing every day. Dressings. soybean oil, bad dressings. Bolthouse is pretty. With vegetables, if you're doing advanced plan or core plan, you're going to get a ton of nutrients from vegetables. Best vegetables overall that I keep in my arsenal, and I'm eating 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times a week, are your cruciferous vegetables. So that's kale, broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, bok choy. Cruciferous vegetables have a lot of sulfurated properties. They have a lot of sulfurated amino acids. That sulfur helps with liver detoxification. It's hugely important, and we don't get a lot of it. There's a research study that came out that showed eating 5 servings of cruciferous vegetables per week lowered your cancer risk by 60%. So it's really important to get lots of those vegetables in your body. It helps with detoxification. Really good. So really it should be, the thought with vegetables is get all the colors of the rainbow, mix them up. Raw is better, lightly sauteed is great. If you're gonna saute them, using a good healthy oil is gonna be awesome. Avocados are a go-to for good healthy fats as well. You're gonna get, if you get these dark leafy vegetables, you're getting tons of fiber, you're getting tons of nutrients, you're getting not a lot of added sugars, carbohydrates, things like that. And the more you play with them and the more you mix them and just put them with other ones, they taste great.
Plants, things like that.
So some squash is good, like a spaghetti squash, for example, is lower in carbohydrates. Butternut squash is higher in carbohydrates. Zucchini is low in carbohydrates and great. So it all depends on the plan you're doing. If it's core plan, I'll eat all the squash I want. If it's advanced plan, I'm not going to do like a ton of like butternut, for example, because that's really sweet. A lot of carbohydrates. So with apples, if you're doing advanced plan, you want to be just concerned with sugar content overall. Your Granny Smith apple is truly an advanced plan certified apple. Tons of nutrients, high fiber, low sugar. It's got that tartness to it. That's awesome. Fuji apples are your sweeter apples. Pink Ladies, Honeycrisp, those are all really sweet. They have a lot of sugar content. If you're doing a core plan, you're already at your health goals. Doing one of those a day is not bad, but if you do a lot of these apples, it will throw you out of a ketogenic state. It's just too much sugar.
But Granny Smith is okay for
Granny Smith is advanced plan approved. Salt is a bad thing, but no, like spices are some of the most nutrient dense foods that there are.
Okay. And that's where you get a lot of your micros, isn't it?
Yes, basil, oregano, parsley, garlic, like these are all cilantro, dill, absolute superfoods. I mean, like in the gut blend that we give people in our office, it's filled with oregano, with thyme, with rosemary, with cilantro. Those have been really helpful and shown to help reduce gut bacteria, be antiviral, have antimicrobial properties, select for good bacteria inside of your gut. You can't go wrong with good spices. Dairy and fats, okay? So any type of prepackaged products are usually not going to be good. But if you're going to eat dairy, which I eat dairy, I think you should moderate it, but it should be from a really clean source. So it should be organic, grass-fed, the same rules that apply to the cheeses we saw over there. Same thing with butter. Butter comes from cows, so butter should be from as close to a natural source as possible. So you want at minimum organic, and at best you want the grass-fed, grass-finished type of butters in there, okay? Kerrygold's good. It actually says on it, milk from grass-fed cows. Now, they came under fire like 2 years ago because they said, well, sometimes during the winter, if it's dry, we have to give our cows like some hay or some other things that aren't exactly grass. And people like threw a big hissy fit about it, but it's the best that we have. You know what I mean? Like we don't have in most cases, a better option than this.
The cow's diet is probably like
in
ours.
most places. What?
Cow's
I
diet is
mean,
kind of like ours. You can cheat a little bit, but
yeah, there's going to be a cold
moderation.
season. You know, a lot of grass-fed beef that we see is not actually grass-finished. So they're fed grain for like a month or two before they end. And it's better, but it's not like the absolute best. So there's always just these different levels when it comes to
Is
good
that the
nutrition.
difference, like between grass-fed and grass-finished?
Yes.
Is that the kind of what you're talking
yeah,
about? Where
grass-finished means they eat grass their whole life.
That's harder to find.
It's very hard to find. You have to go to like
noticed.
usually a farm to find it, or if they advertise it here, it's rare to find. You're gonna find it maybe at Whole Foods, specialty markets,
Okay.
places like this. You will not. I've never seen that at like a bigger box
Right.
store. But normally you'll see grass-fed, and that usually means it was fed grain for somewhere between 1 to 3 months before they.
But it still provides
Yeah,
us a healthy.
It's better.
It's still.
Yep. It's better overall.
you can find the grass finished, great. But
Do
if
that.
you can't, grass fed is still
Yeah.
way better than everything else
Yeah,
that we
for
might
sure.
choose. Okay.
It's funny, people complain about like, oh, I don't want to do grass fed. I'm like, just so you know, there's like other levels. It keeps going up from there. That should be your minimum. You know what I mean? A2 casein is, we've talked about this a lot. This is a non-inflammatory type of casein. If you're gonna get milk or drink anything like that, it should be organic. The minimum grass fed is the best. It's obviously more expensive, but better quality overall.
But the A2, if you don't want goat milk, you
Yeah.
just want milk, the A2 would be the best
I
option.
would do the grass fed.
You would do the grass fed milk.
Yep.
Okay.
That's what I do. Okay. And then we do a lot of like other milks as well. I will tell you one thing to be careful on, like nut beverages or other milk beverages, is the ingredients really matter. If you get like a cheap almond milk, you're gonna get a lot of ingredients that you don't want in there. But some of the milks that I love are coconut milk. Flax milk is awesome. So it's just flax milk. So if you want like another base for your smoothie, this has tons, like it has 3 grams of fats, but these are all omega-3 fats. So tons of good healthy fats in it. I think if you're gonna do milks in general, I would opt for flax milk or coconut milk over almond milk. Yeah, so almonds are made predominantly of an omega-6. So almonds are made of a predominantly omega-6 fatty acid. It's called GLA. It's a non-inflammatory type of omega-6 fatty acid, but for me, we get so many omega-6s in our diet naturally, you should constantly be trying to reduce those as much as you can. So if I'm going to use something to make with a smoothie, it's going to be flax, it's going to be coconut normally, those healthier overall fats.
Do they have a coconut milk here?
So coconut milk you would get in the canned version.
Oh, okay.
I don't do it as a beverage personally.
Not like that kind of coconut soap.
I don't do this one. So a lot of times with this, you get more like unwanted ingredients. So I prefer the canned version, the organic canned version, the Thai version. It has no added ingredients. It's more condensed as well. And a can of that will last me like a week, and I'll just take a scoop out and put that in there, just as opposed to doing this. This is gonna go less, and yeah,
Probably have more stuff.
probably have more stuff in it.
And the kinds of, those nut milks that you see, they're not refrigerated, they're just sitting on the shelf in a little container, a carton.
Yeah.
Are those worse than something like you'd find refrigerated?
No.
Or about the
So
same?
so these are not dairy products. So really these are fine out on the shelf.
Okay.
They're put in here. They're paid to put in here because they mimic milk, and our brain says, "Oh, it's alternative." Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah.
Kind of wild.
Doesn't even have to be in there.
Does
but
not
it
have
is.
to be. For most of them, I could be wrong on some of them, but for most of them, they don't have to be refrigerated.
What about yogurts for like advanced plan? Is it like a no-go or
No. So we'll get to yogurt.
How about coffee?
I think it's over here.
Well, yeah.
No,
What
that's not
about
frozen.
like oat milk versus
What?
like oat milk? Because I know a lot of people.
Oh, oat milk is so. Let me show you this. I love oat milk. I think it's hilarious. So how oat milk took over, and like people order, I have no idea. So what are oats?
grains?
Grains. Yeah, carbohydrates. So let me get a milk that has no protein at all. So I'm not getting the protein, fat, and tons of sugars. So
Why is this healthy?
why would you? I love it. It's like the fun thing to say, like, I'll have an oat milk latte. It's worse for you than
Than
anything
just
else.
milk, right? Just straight milk.
What is wrong with you? I know. It's just like we just come with these fancy names for new things. It's like
That's
ridiculous. You know what I mean?
hysterical.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
Wow.
These super creamers as well
Okay.
are pretty good overall, and these are really clean. So this is purified water, cream, milk, MCT oil, monk fruit. So a little bit sweeter, but uses like natural sweeteners like monk fruit, which is totally fine.
Perfect.
100% grass fed. Those would be your better options for creamers overall.
Perfect. Thank
Cool.
you.
Yep, absolutely. Cheese, just like feta. Filtered water, coconut oil, potato starch. It's not bad. There are ones, they don't have them here anymore, but there was one time I came here and it was like the most gross cheese. Like it was just such a poor quality. So again, it's like if you're vegan, it's hard when they're trying to make things seem like something else. It's where they fail. You know what I mean? Like you can't recreate cheese, and then they combine all these different additives, and when you start getting to like lower quality products, they start getting really, really bad. At this store they don't have to, but other stores they'll be bad. One of the things that you want to look at when it comes to dairy is the sugar. So if I'm going to get kefir, for example, I'm going to look for organic if I can find it, but I'm going to look for, where's it at? Plain, unsweetened. Because it makes a big difference. Like this has 9 grams of just naturally occurring sugars per serving. And then when you get a sweetened one, it goes up 20 grams of added sugars. You know what I mean? So it can get really high really fast. With yogurt, it's even worse. In a 4 to 6 ounce thing of yogurt, and these are like healthier yogurts overall. These are healthier yogurts also. This is a 4.5 ounces, and it has 19 grams of sugar. So to extrapolate that, a 12-ounce can of Coke has 40 grams of sugar. So this has more by weight than a can of Coke. This one, Brown Cow, this is a healthy overall. This is a whole milk yogurt that's certified organic. And it has 20 grams of sugar as well. So, and it's 5 ounces. So if I get yogurt, what I do, it makes it really simple and it's cost effective as well. I'm gonna go with organic, plain yogurt that's not sweetened. So it has its naturally occurring sugars and no added sugars. That's what I always go with.
Just put fruit with it then? Is that
Yeah,
kind of what you
fruit.
do with the plain?
Fruit, the protein that we have in the office is sweetened with stevia. So I'll always use like a little half scoop of like chocolate or vanilla protein.
Okay.
To make it more of a meal, and I'll add in fruit. I might add a little dash of honey as well. I'll put in frozen blueberries. I'll put in hemp seeds, which are kind of like granola. Hemp seeds are like a total superfood that have a lot of healthy fat in them.
Okay.
And so I always make my yogurts into like a little parfait.
Perfect.
You know what I mean? So I'm
And
gonna
then with the kefir, do you add that to your smoothie, or do you maybe make a little
in a
make
smoothie,
little shaker with
or
some
just
protein?
drink it out of the jug like a Neanderthal.
Okay.
Mostly.
Plain, just straight
Plain.
up. Okay.
Yep.
Is Greek yogurt actually better than regular yogurt?
No.
Me too.
No.
So I'm asking, what do you do with it?
Yeah.
How do you drink it? How do you?
Let me find. So ideally when I look for yogurt, I'm going to look for, at a minimum, organic. At best is like grass-fed. I want full fat, and I want plain. Okay, those are the stipulations. Greek has to do with the thickness and the texture of the yogurt. It's not necessarily healthier overall. Typically with Greek, you're going to see more protein per serving, a little bit less fat, but a lot of times you're going to see less of sugar in it. So just be careful. Okay, people tend to think Greek means it's better. It doesn't. It has to do with the texture only. Okay, so full fat, organic, plain, grass fed ideally. That's what I go for.
How do you feel about honey?
So, I mean, regular normal cereal is probably one of the worst things you can eat for breakfast. It's all sugar, no protein, tons of additives. A lot of, like, these are all organic, but a lot of cereals now, if you look at the side of them, again, just not this one, but they'll say contains bioengineered products. So like any cereal you find at like Costco now, even the ones that look healthier, they're all bioengineered foods now. So if you're gonna eat cereal, you wanna eat something that's like from a sprouted grain source. So like Ezekiel, sprouted grain, tons of nutrients in it, healthy fats. That's what you wanna go more with. But if you're doing like an advanced plan, this wouldn't be suitable just because the amount of carbohydrates it has are too high. A serving of this is 35 grams of carbohydrates. If you can have 15 a day and stay in ketosis, you're just not going to be able to do that. Okay?
Ezekiel bread, is that also an acceptable brand typically?
Ezekiel bread, yes. Yes, sprouted whole grains, awesome. Yep, yep.
Not advanced.
Yeah, for corn. Yep, come with me. You want to find sprouted, you want to find 100% whole wheat, and you want to find stone ground. Those are like your 3 expectations for bread if you're going to do it, okay? This bread doesn't have preservatives in it. That's why it sits in the freezer section. You want to eat food that other things want to eat. So like if you leave a loaf of bread out for a month and mold doesn't grow on it, which will grow on this in a day or 2, it's bad food. If you drop food on the floor, your dog won't eat it. It's bad for you. You know what I mean? Like we don't want to eat foods that are filled with preservatives. We want to eat food that's real, that's whole, that perishes, like food normally should. Okay? We've gotten to this idea that everything in the grocery store needs to last a month. It's not true when it comes to health. Okay?
So when you buy that bread, you just take a couple pieces out of the freezer at a time when you're ready to use it?
You take a little knife, pop it off, toast it up, or do whatever you want to with it.
Can you leave it in the fridge?
Yes. It's going to last longer in the freezer, less longer in the fridge. But it'll still last for quite a while in the fridge if you use it right. Yeah. If things have an expiration date that's longer than you, it's fine.
Did you say the criteria was for bread sprouted, whole grain?
Sprouted, 100% whole grain, or stone ground. Those are what you want to look for. Okay? A lot of times you're going to see wheat bread, and you're going to go, oh, it's wheat bread. It's like, it's actually not. Like, it has to be say 100% whole wheat. Okay.
You just know by looking at that it's going to be bad.
Yeah. Yeah, so you can tell a product's bad just by looking at it, obviously.
Yes.
So this is what you're going to commonly find in a grocery store, and I'm surprised they have it here. But, I mean, it's enriched bleached flour. There's, yellow 5, yellow 6, artificial flavor, soy lecithin, vegetable oil, just all the bad stuff. More canola oil, propylene glycol. Need I say more?
Propylene glycol.
Yeah.
Good.
Pretty sure they use that in chillers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So healthier options. Simple Mills makes really good natural crackers. Ingredients: almond flour, bananas, coconut sugar, arrowroot, which is a healthier type of flour, coconut flour, baking soda, cinnamon, and salt. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
8 ingredients,
And you can read them.
35 ingredients that are bad for you. Okay? It's $1 more. You're going to spend a lot more at the doctor. Okay? There are some really good, so if you make your own cookies, which I love to do, there's some great options. Lily's as a brand, great option. No sugar added. These are sweetened with sugar alcohols. And then this Enjoy Life brand can be better. They make a chip here that's a dark chocolate. These are semi-sweet. These are sweet with monk fruit, another great option. They have like an 80% one that I don't see here, which is really good as well. You can find lots of really good like chocolate chips. These would be your bad ones. Nestle's Toll House Basics. Semi-sweet. These by law have to be 10% chocolate. They can be 90% sugar and still be called chocolate.
What's the percentage of cocoa it's supposed to be?
It has to be 10.
Well, no, I
to be
mean,
called chocolate, yeah.
but
So you
for
want
us to
70
want
plus.
70 plus?
Yeah, ideally. Yep. Even at 70% cocoa, it's still like 10 grams, 12 grams of sugar per serving. So it's better, but like 75, 80 starts to get really good. Bad and ugly. So there's better alternative sweeteners that we have now that are actually healthier overall. Monk fruit is great. It's a no-carb sweetener. Erythritol is a sugar alcohol that is also a no-calorie sweetener. That's not an artificial sweetener. It's not a sucralose or a aspartame. Okay. Other than those, like all of these are still sugar. Agave is still sugar. Corn syrup is still sugar. Even cane sugar is still sugar. So you have like granulated cane, organic cane. I mean, is this from an organic cane sugar plant? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's still sugar. It might be a little bit better than white sugar, but at the end of the day, it's still pretty much sugar.
Basically just monk fruit and stevia.
So yeah, so I love to use monk fruit stevia, erythritol, xylitol. Yes, so the droppers are great for liquids. The powders are great for, I don't usually bake with them, but just for like using them like a hot liquid. Be careful whenever you buy stevias because some of the cheaper brands will cut them with maltodextrin, which is a carbohydrate. Okay, so just be careful. There was a brand, it's probably not here anymore, but it was called Stevia in the Raw, and it was cut 50-50 with maltodextrin. It's
You
gonna
want 100% organic stevia.
You want 100% stevia. You want to
Yeah.
get what you pay for. That's why, unfortunately, you have to read the label on some of these because they'll just tell you one thing in bold and put something in fine print. And
Now see, there's a monk fruit in the raw. I wonder if they cut that. Do they?
no.
No.
So
Okay.
it's erythritol and monk fruit extract. Erythritol is fine.
Okay.
They're going to cut it with that. Monk fruit is a little bit more expensive. You can get pure monk fruit like online, but a lot of stores don't have pure monk fruit.
Okay.
Erythritol is a sugar alcohol, which is fine.
Okay.
Erythritol is becoming more common. They used to have something called xylitol that commonly used. It could cause a little bit more stomach distress, and sugar alcohols are toxic for dogs, just so you guys know.
Oh, okay.
I heard that.
Yes, very toxic for dogs. There's something else called allulose, which is another plant-based sugar. This is gaining more notoriety as like a natural alternative sweetener that doesn't have an impact on blood sugar.
Okay.
In like the keto bars that we use, they're sweetened with allulose.
Okay.
Okay. So
Stevia is not toxic to dogs, right?
not toxic to dogs. No, stevia is just a plant. Just a very, very sweet plant extract. Great overall. Okay.
Stevia, allulose, and monk fruit.
Stevia, allulose, monk fruit, erythritol, all those are better natural sweeteners.
Okay.
Okay? Cool. So, flours I love. Almond flour, great. So we bake our own cookies a lot. Our kids love baking. So we use like the Lily's chips. We do almond flour, and then I'll always put in a little bit of flaxseed meal. Flax seeds, hemp seeds, chia seeds have tons of omega-3 fatty acids. These combined with a little bit of honey and some chocolate make a great overall cookie that's healthy, not high in carbohydrates, good healthy fats, everything you want from like a more nutritionally dense food. So those are great things to use. If you want to do like just a grain-free flour, cassava flour is a great flour overall. A lot of the other flours though are at the end of the day flour. Millet, white rice, brown rice, sweet white. These are a lot of carbohydrate-rich flours, so I don't tend to do a lot of those. I love doing more of like the almonds, the flax, the hemp versus the other ones. Okay, especially for advancement. Cool. So as far as oils are concerned, there's a couple like mainstays that are in my kitchen that we use probably I'd say 90% of the time. Coconut oil, avocado oil, and olive oil. Those are the three. So they make them in sprays. Be careful whenever you get sprays. Make sure they're just that ingredient. A lot of times in sprays they can be other things, but if you want easy ways to cook pans, that's great. Extra virgin organic coconut oil is awesome. Olive oil is great as well. Where's olive oil at? All behind me. Okay. I use these for different things. Okay, and you guys have probably heard about smoke points before, right? So olive oil is more of like a low heat cooking oil. Okay, if you're cooking things on low to medium heat for a short amount of times, eggs for an example, or raw, I love to use olive oil. Okay, coconut oil you can cook with as well. It's going to smoke for most coconut oils between 350 to 400 degrees. So just a little bit higher temperature on those. If I'm cooking at a higher heat for a longer period of time, let's say a thick chicken breast, for example, I want to use avocado oil. Can you guys find avocado oil? Yeah, it's right there. Cool. So avocado oil smokes, this one says high heat. They usually smoke at 450 to 550. So you want to cook under an oil's smoke point. Once you put an oil past its smoke point, you start to burn the oil. You make it rancid. Your body doesn't absorb it well, and you're essentially oxidizing your body more than you're actually providing a health benefit to your body. So keep oils at where their smoke points should be overall.
Like a stir fry, would you use avocado oil?
Yeah.
It's pretty high heat.
Yes, if
For
I'm
stir
cooking for
fry.
more than like 10 minutes, I'm gonna go with avocado. Okay, or higher heat, for sure.
Meat, basically.
Yeah, thick meats, for sure. For sure. Yep. Cool. I always recommend staying away from even organic canola oil. So the issue with canola oil is actually rapeseed. Canola is an acronym. It's Canadian oil low acid. So what canola oil is basically genetically modified rapeseed oil. They advertise this commonly that it's extremely high in omega-3 fatty acids. The problem is, by the time that they heat, process, and refine this, those omega-3 fatty acids do not make it to you, okay? But it's commonly revered as like, oh, it's this healthy oil. Plant oils, vegetable oils are not healthy oils overall, but they're commonly marketed as that. If I see a vegetable oil, canola oil, I run the opposite direction. Okay? Cool? The less we mess with food, the better it is. The more we tinker with it and make it last longer, taste better, or cost less, usually it's worse for your overall
Worse it
health.
gets,
Yep. Cool.
Question.
Here's what you want to be careful with butters. So, again, really healthy butters is just that nut ground and maybe a little bit of oil. But cheaper ones will use bad oils. So this is dry roasted peanuts, sugar, hydrogenated rapeseed oil. They didn't even mince words. They just
Send it right out.
gave you the worst oil that you could possibly get in there. Okay, so I would stay away from those. Obviously, I love to go with more raw almond butters. You can mix it up as well. They make cashew butter that's great. A lot of places like this will actually have places where you can grind your own nut butters. So that's over there, yes. And I'll show you guys that in a second. You can grind your own butters, but just be careful of the other ingredients on these things, because the nuts in and of themselves, generally speaking, are not bad, with the exception of peanuts, which are largely speaking genetically modified, but they can add other things to the nuts that make them worse for you overall. They add sugar, they add partially hydrogenated oils. They do that to extend the shelf life, to increase the smoothness. So it's shelf life, its taste, and its cost. That's why they mess with stuff. Okay, so you want them in its purest form possible. We are sweet lovers, and people have become kind of numb to sugar, so they add more and more to get that sweet factor in there. So just be careful whenever you buy these. Take a minute and look. You know, this has 6 grams of sugar per serving. Some can have more, some can have less. So just be
That one's
careful.
one of the better ones, actually.
Yeah,
That's what I
it's
heard.
not no
That
added.
one's one of the better ones.
added.
What else?
So
It's
pretty
really
much
good.
all pasta is going to have carbs in it, but there are better options overall, okay? Healthier options. Some of my favorite ones are red lentil pasta, okay? So again, it's still carbohydrate based. So if you're on the advanced plan, you're probably not going to be doing a lot of this, but if you're on the core plan, great pasta to do overall. A lot of nutrients in it. The other one is this banza pasta. It's made from chickpeas, really good overall. And then you have a brown rice pasta. That's pretty good as well, okay? And all these pass the test of like, if I'm gonna make a healthier pasta, do I actually want to eat it? All these pass that test, so all pretty good overall.
Which one is most similar to? Because I've had the Bonza and didn't care for it. So
I think
is
red
one or the
lentil.
other is closer to
I think
pasta?
red lentil is the
Okay.
closest, and banza is the second.
Okay.
But I personally like the banza.
Okay.
But I've eaten so much weird food for such a long time that like,
Yeah.
yeah, so when it comes to sodas, I mean, most sodas have tons of added sugars, right? Diet sodas have tons of artificial sweeteners, so I stay away from those as much as humanly possible. Good thing now is there's lots of options that are better than that. So you have seltzer waters, for example, which is usually just flavor and carbonated water. Be careful on those. But then you also have a brand called Zevia, which is stevia sweetened soda. Okay, come lots of different flavors. Some are caffeinated, some are not. But if you're looking for like a healthier alternative overall, and you want to get like the pop feel, it's a great go-to. If you're doing a ketogenic diet, nuts are your friend. Nuts and seeds. So pumpkin seeds, pine nuts are great. Flaxseed meal or flax seeds are awesome. I can't find them right now, but also hemp seeds, chia seeds are great. I eat tons of those. They're packed with omega-3 fatty acids. Behind you, cashews, though you got to be careful because cashews are technically speaking a fruit, not a nut.
Seriously?
Yep, they contain more carbohydrates. Almonds, pistachios, walnuts, pecans. Your healthiest omega-3 fatty acid nuts are walnuts, and then second are pecans. Great amounts of healthy fats. Macadamia nuts, tons of healthy fats. Okay, you can't go wrong on having those like in your pantry if you want a snack. They're great for like adding into that. If you want to put some really, really healthy berries with it, these dried goji berries are absolutely awesome. Packed with phytonutrients. They're considered a superfood. Awesome to have in there. If you buy pre-made trail mixes, one of the problems you're going to see commonly is that they cover it in bad oil. and it's really hard to find them without it. So when I see trail mixes, they're going to be coated in coconut oil, or sorry, not coconut oil, canola oil, or a partially hydrogenated oil, or they're going to be filled with like bananas or raisins or things like that have like a ton of sweet to them. M&Ms, yeah. And then again, if you're, the whole point of doing a really clean eating diet is to like get all that out of there. So you're just better off coming in here, spending a few minutes, getting it in bulk, and then you can mix your own trail mixes at home.
And what
Which
would
I
you
do.
put in it? The goji berries?
Goji
couple different
berries, nuts, seeds, and then a little bit of salt and pepper, a little bit of seasoning in there, some spice if you want it. You can even put a little bit of oil in there, like a drop or two if you want to, just to coat it all together. It's great. Really easy to do. And you can make it individually for each person. You can get some chocolate, like some really healthy, like Lily's chocolate or things like that. Put that in there so you get little cocoa nibs. And you can have fun with it. So to be considered, for them to say chocolate, and this doesn't actually even say chocolate on it, it has to be a minimum of 10% cocoa. So like crappy chocolate is going to be 10% cocoa, 90% sugar or other additives, right? Better is like your starter is like something like this. It actually tells you the cacao content, right? So this is 33% cocoa, okay? On the back, this per serving has 3 servings per package. It has 44 grams of sugar per third of a bar. So this is 130 grams of sugar. It's a ton, right? And this actually looks healthier overall, right? So this by ounce, this is 44 grams of sugar per ounce. So it's 10 times sweeter than Coke. Let's put an example. What you want to look for is 70% cacao or higher, okay? This is where you're going to start to get less sugar overall, and just a better overall product as far as health is concerned. So chocolate is healthy, but most chocolate is not chocolate. Most chocolate is sugar. It's really sad, okay? So 70% is great. Then you have Lily's chocolates. These are anywhere from 40 to 60%, but they're sweetened with stevia on the other side of that. So although they're not the highest cacao content, if you like these, they're great. They don't have additional sweeteners. What I like to go for is like higher percentage cacao. So like 80% plus. This one specifically is really good, and it's almost 90% chocolate. It's my favorite one, okay? So simple, it's dark, it's got good flavor to it. It doesn't taste like bark. It takes a while to work up to these though, I know that. Like when I first started, 70% felt rough, and then 75%, and then 80, and
It's not
So-
super bitter.
This
No, it's
might be a
not.
good place to start if you're going to try to get to it.
Yeah, start at
this
your
one
70,
to
75, and then work
this
your
one's
way
going to be
up.
awfully sweet, so it's going to be hard to
It
go
is
from
going to be
that
sweet
to that, right?
Yes, this
So
is
if you do
the
this,
one, and then
then
this
start
one.
with that. Okay.
Yep. So they're missing this. So these both look healthy, right? So this one is 44 grams of sugars per serving and 49 grams of carbohydrates overall. And this is 11 grams of carbohydrates, 3 grams of sugars, 4 grams of fiber. So really it's almost all healthy. Okay.
I'm trying to find it.
Yeah. Yeah, those are my favorites. They have a lot of sugar in them.
Okay.
So in a pack of Justin's, they have 16 grams of sugar. So they say dark chocolate, but the only problem I have with these, and if Justin's is watching, they can fix this.
Well, that one's milk chocolate.
That's milk, even dark. They don't give the percentage. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay.
So this is milk chocolate. This is dark chocolate. The dark chocolate has 2 grams less of sugars. So I don't know. There's nothing to tell me if it's higher cacao content or not. And so that's one of the things where like I'll get these sometimes as a treat, but I don't know what I'm getting. And it's a lot of carbs. I eat at my house. I have a high metabolism. I adjust all the time, so it's like I burn tons of calories. So if I go out hungry, I'm setting myself up for total failure. I eat before I go out. I know where I'm going. You have to control your environment some. You're really risking it if you're like going out hungry to a place you don't know, like a graduation party or whatever, and don't have like a snack prepared or something like that. You're just like putting yourself in the lion's den. You know what I mean? So the more you can prepare and stay ahead of it, the better you're gonna be. Eating clean is all about planning. If you don't plan properly, you will absolutely fail. If you don't have healthy food in your house and you have a bunch of crap in your house that's sweet, that you love, that you're addicted to, you better get rid of it, because like it's just a matter of willpower, and for a lot of people it's a matter of time. If you don't have really strong willpower, you're going to end up giving in. So just get rid of it, get rid of the temptation. It's way easier that way. Okay? Rome wasn't built in a day. Sometimes changing these things takes time as well. So the worst thing to do is, if you fail or fall off the horse, to beat yourself up for it. Give yourself grace. Know that eating clean is a complete uphill battle. No one's on your side with this. It's very hard to find. It's sometimes cost prohibitive. You have to know how to find things in the right places. You could go to Whole Foods and just spend twice the amount, but I don't like to do that, because I feel like it's fun to like find all the deals and things like that. So it can be done. Just give yourself grace. Don't beat yourself up if you struggle or don't do it perfectly. Even if you're doing better, it's good. So there's no reason to stress over not doing well, because that's going to cause you to be unhealthy as well. Cool? Cool. Awesome.
This was great.